Hey, okay, do you ever feel like you may have someone watching you? Like like maybe there's a mantis shrimp just right over your shoulder? No, just me. Okay. Okay. Just keep on. At this point, I'm just tired of talking to myself. Okay, so let's get into Darwin's theory of natural selection. Okay, so it's based off of the four main ideas. And so that is overproduction, competition, variation, and adaptation. Um, these are pretty simple concepts, so let's just get into it and knock it out. All right, overproduction, that is to say that you have more babies than can survive. And so, particularly if you are a prey organism, that is Prey. Of course, it's not going to work. Why would it work? No. Of course not. Let's see if it'll work over here. P. Of course not. R. E. Y. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you are a prey organism, then typically you have even more babies than can survive. Predator organisms still have more babies than usually will survive, but they tend to have fewer at one time. Now, this is not always true, right? But let's give an example of sea turtles. Sea turtles can have hundreds of offspring at a time, whereas humans, we are not doing that. If you look at things like rabbits or mice, for example, in this picture, these are what newborn baby mice look like. They have no fur. They're just naked little pink things. And anyway, mice have litters very, very frequently, and the litters are fairly large. And part of that is, natural selection. They know that not all these babies will survive unless they're kept in a controlled environment. And so the goal is to have so many babies that at least some of them go on to make it to continue on that species. So that is the first tenet of natural selection, is to have more babies than will survive. All right, struggle for existence or competition. This is where there is a limited number of resources, right? A fixed number of resources. Now, what counts as a resource? Food and water, okay? Space to exist. It takes, what was it? The average tiger likes to roam something like up to 400 square miles. That's crazy. Another reason to stop, slashing and burning and stop cutting down those forests and just let those animals be. All right. They also compete for mates or for the right to mate, even. And so this is called the struggle for existence. It's whoever can outcompete the other. So, who is in competition, would you say? Anyone who is using the same or holds the same, what's called a niche, and that's Niche. Some people pronounce it niche, and that's perfectly fine. Um, it's just it's up to you, especially if you're British. You embrace the niche. So I say niche. Totally up to you. So if you hold the same niche, and so what does that mean? It means if I'm a bird that only builds nests in elm trees, and there's another bird that only builds nests in elm trees, then we're going to be competing for space. Um, if I am a wolf and I am in a pack and I am not the alpha female, that means that I do not have the right to mate. Now I can compete with the alpha female and try to get in a fight with her and see who would win. And in that scenario, if I won, then I become the new alpha female and I reserve the right to mate and no other female does. If I lose, then my options are either death or exile, because animals like to exile each other. I don't know if you knew that. Food. If we eat the same type of fruit, then we are in an innate competition with one another for who can obtain that fruit. And so that is called the struggle for existence, because we are struggling to exist based off of competition. Here are the other two tenets. You've got variation, which we've talked about in a prior lecture. And that just means that there is a variation within a population, meaning, there's brown, blonde, and black hair. For humans, that's a natural variation that would help you either blend in an environment or not. There's also in animals, if you think about the hummingbird, they are very elaborately colored, and um, even though they're all very small, they still are varied in size and beak length because of their food source. And so a lot of that variation is bred out of first mutation, and then two, necessity to adapt to the environment. And so adaptation is number four. Whoever is the best adapted will survive. And so sometimes number four is called survival of the fittest. And that does not mean fittest, like, oh, look how buff I am. It means I am the best suited for the environment. Now, that could mean that let's think. If I'm in the desert, I'm a snake that can bury myself in the sand to avoid sandstorms and some of the heat of the day. That could mean I'm nocturnal and I only come out at night if I live in a desert because that's when it's the coolest. Um, it's whatever makes me the most fit for my environment. The best camouflage, the best suited skills to obtain food and mates and really outcompete the others. That is what makes you the fittest for your environment. Yep. Oh, here is a, great simulation on peppered moths. And so if you click that link, it'll actually take you. You'll have to allow Flash to run on your Chromebooks, and then go through the bird's eye view, and you actually get to be the bird that eats the peppered moths. Um, it's really neat. It's from the Industrial Revolution. It's a true story of these moths and how we changed their environment with pollution. And so, what happened to that? What did nature do to respond to that as far as natural selection? So, if you will go through this simulation, that will be your lab for today. So, anyway, thank you for joining me again, and I'm sure I will see you very soon online.